Welcome to why gameplay-oriented random number generators need to end. Yes, technically speaking, this is kind of sort of a rant. And yes, even though I said that I wouldn't have a specific 2K19 video on my main channel, again, this is 2K19, but I'm gonna make this more as an analysis video, like honestly a lot of videos have been on my channel recently. And this sort of applies to all games, but the specific example I'm using here is NBA 2K19 because it's been downright proven at this point by a lot of people who are a lot better, more knowledgeable than me. I'm just bringing it up here because this is an issue that really gets on my nerves. So I'm going to put this more as analysis than downright anger because there's quite a lot of more people with more loyalties to me who have done it in a straight up anger way. I'm just going to try to bring up points from a lot of different areas. Like some people just brought up like points that they themselves witnessed, and then I'll bring up points like they said and all that. So anyway, let's get into it. The specific that I'm talking about here is NBA 2K19 shot meter. But in general, gameplay-oriented random number generators means stuff that actually happens while you're physically playing the actual game itself and not just in a quote-unquote cutscene like opening a loot box or something like that. Obviously, no one in the right mind likes loot boxes. Those are just cash grab and there to make money. It's been talked about by a whole heck of a heap of people, and I hate it too, and everyone who's not a cash cow hates loot boxes. I don't really think that needs to be explained more. But also, that's not direct gameplay either. While it does affect the game way more than it should, it's not actually the point of... It's not why people buy the game, is to open those loot boxes. It's to actually play the game. This is while playing the game. Specifically, NBA 2K19 Online. Team Up. Play Now Online. Each person runs one player. Meaning, in general, basketball is just one team against another team. So, one-on-one essentially controlling a team. But there's also a mode in which you control one player. Meaning you're up against 4 other players on your team that are real people if everyone shows up. Or however many do show up. And then there's the 5 real players on the other team. Or however many show up. I've already done a video on how the more AI is there, the more rigged it is, which I 100% truly and really believe. NBA 2K19 is straight up rigged, the more AI influence it has. I'm not getting into that here because I already have. I 100% believe that and will stand to that till NBA 2K19 ends, because that's what I'm talking about. But this is just the thing you control completely unimpeded by AI. This is all your timing, in theory. And specifically, this is the shot meter. The best example to use here is, well, taking a free throw. There's no getting in the way of AI here. This is completely yourself, because obviously free throws are unguarded. This particular situation, I just got fouled, ignorant foul, so shooting 2 free throws. The particular player I'm using is Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, y'all might notice something on screen to say that I'm doing alright this game, I'll say that. My team in general ain't, but I'll get more into that later on. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I'm about the only one doing pretty good on my team. So it's obvious that I have a decent amount of talent with this particular player. In general, I like post moves, and I like being able to get those post moves off, because NBA 2K19 is broken in that aspect. Height is the main point of the game nowadays. I don't particularly agree with that. There's plenty of shorter players who have been just as good as taller players that aren't in this game, but that's, again, not even the main gameplay issue I'm talking about here. Getting into it, the true and really shot meter that I'm talking about it is, well, this. What's on screen there, that white bar. This essentially just shows how well you time the shot meter. That makes sense. But honestly, the way it works does not make any sense. I'll explain 2K19 first, and then give my examples of dealing with previous games, and then I'll mention other people's experiences again, too. Again, other people may mention stuff they themselves seen, and then I'll try to bring everyone that I've seen of mentioning each other, or mentioning themselves saying to overall bring up each other things and compare it, meaning more of a compilation of everyone's type thing to try to make it more fair and unbiased. But anyway, my take. NBA 2K19 shot meter goes all the way up to full bar. If you get the bar completely full, it is a green release, and it's a 100% you make the shot. 2K is a bit glitchy, so really it's only like 99.99%, but essentially it's 100%, no matter who you're using. If you're using Ben Wallace, who I think is historically the worst free throw shooter ever, or you're using Jose Calderon, and that year he shot like 98% from the line. Either or, if you get a green release, you hit the shot. It is a lot harder to get a green release with Ben Wallace than Jose Calderon, but it can happen with either player. And if you don't get a green release, well, the stages in which the releases can go as extremely early, slightly early, perfect, green release, excellent, whatever. Slightly late, extremely late. So, essentially, there's one stage in which you make it, one stage in which you shoot, in theory, the player's percentile, and then one stage where you pretty much never make. Occasionally, if you get a red release, it will go in. It's not a downright zero. But, essentially, if you time it within, not perfect, but also not bad, you shoot the player's percentage, right? Well, I'll show it on screen here. That was as close to as perfect as pretty much possible. And that equals 82%. And so I'm not complaining about the percents on the screen, because, I mean, that's pretty realistic. If y'all know Kristaps Porzingis, the player that I'm using, he's the unicorn. He's extremely tall. He shoots extremely well. So he can hit free throws. 82% I think is roughly accurate. I don't know his exact free throw percentage, but I would say low 80s is pretty good. If I would have given a random guess, I would have guessed about 85%, like slightly higher, but whatever. He's been hurt for a while, so maybe they're factoring that in, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, that's not the point I'm getting to here. 82%, well, means you hit slightly over 4 out of 5 free throws. And again, this is online play, no AI impediment whatsoever. So in theory, that means that this is the first free throw I'm taking this game. I have proof where I can show it if needed, but just trust me, this is the first free throw I'm taking. So 4 out of 5 chance to make it. That means, yeah, I might miss it. But that means if I do miss this free throw, the next free throw, if I time perfectly, I make it. Just end all, be all, we're good. Right? Whereas this free throw in particular, I miss. So, whatever. Right? We're good. Of course not. There we have it, folks. There, right there, the random number generator. Granted, the first free throw, it was like barely off. It like rattled to where it fell out of the front of the rim. This one just bounced off the side. It was pretty far off. But still, even if that first free throw was a glitch, either way it's an error. Meaning it's pretty much random number generator. That 82% means nothing. The best way to simulate it is just if you take 82 free throws, you're guaranteed to hit 82 free throws if that's your release every time. That's how it should be. That's the first way to do it. There should be no variation. If you miss one free throw with an 80% free throw percentage, or even a 51% free throw percentage, if you get that same shot timing in the next, you make it. Because, well, also the release. This release is actually slightly better than the previous release. Remember how I said before that was pretty much as good as I could get? This drilling really was as good as I can get without getting green. Look, there's no space in between that and a full bar. I don't know what the difference in that and a full bar is, given that there's really no gap there, but nonetheless, what I'm saying is the release timing itself was slightly different, but the percentage did not change. it's 82% either way. So that means as long as you get what's called an early release or a late release, slightly early, slightly late, aka yellow. I'll just say yellow. The options are red, yellow, green, and then other end, yellow, red, meaning early or late. Any yellow release shows the same percent. So that means no matter what release they get in that to go slightly over 4 out of 5 times. There should be no whatsoever missing 2, 3 throws in a row. Even though, yes, in real life, you can still shoot over 80% and miss 2, 3 throws in a row. You just make it up later on by hitting more. But this ain't real life. This is a video game with the random number generator. It shows it's completely random because no matter how you time your release, if it's in the yellow, it's just the exact same number there. Meaning you essentially don't have much control. You have 5 stages of control. Terrible, good, perfect, good, terrible from early to late. In theory, you have 100% of stages. That's sort of kind of iffy because obviously no one shoots 100% from the line, but essentially Kristaps, they say he shoots 82% roughly. So you would have at least 83. You'd have 1% with the worst release possible, the 82% being his average, and then you do perfect, which is 100%. So you would have at least 83 or 100, depending on how you kind of explain it and players you use and all that. And there's the ratings in there too. Some players are just rated higher or lower with 3,000 as well. But the thing that I'm getting into is here is NBA 2K11 did not have a shot meter whatsoever. And there was no option whatsoever in which you shot 100% all the time. Yes, you could get a quote-unquote perfect release. There was a little thing that flashed right when you're supposed to release the ball at the top of the arc. But if you release it at that point, you shoot the player's free throw rating. Meaning the highest rating possible is 99. And you hit 99 out of 100 free throws. It's honestly, all things considered, I think that is accurate. No NBA player shot more than 98% free throws for a season, so therefore, 99 out of 100 free throws made seems to be plenty accurate. You shouldn't let a player hit literally every shot they take. If no player's ever done that on a free throw, there's no way a player could ever do that on a 3-point. Steph Curry, best shooter of all time. There's no way he's even going to shoot 60% 3-point percentage in a season. But then yet, in this game, if you get a perfect release every time, you shoot 100%. It doesn't matter what the player is. It could be Steph Curry, it could be Ben Wallace. No matter what perfect release you hit it, or as close to a perfect release as possible, you could miss 2 in a row with as high of a rating as possible. It's saying as high of a rating as possible, but in theory, anything over 50%, you miss 2 in a row, shows that it is possible no matter what the rating is. So, there's my analysis, folks. This goes for pretty much anything, even just GT Sport penalty system. I feel like at some point it's random number generator, but this one is downright proof. Because, again, this is where I'm getting into other people's analysis. Blaze A Fear A, his YouTube channel is called Blaze. He's he got famous from Troy Dan, if you know who he is, and he's a post scorer. I'll say that. He's a really good post scorer. As y'all know, in general, I generally like using scoring from the post as well. That's generally how I run my offense. It's through the post, which is pretty old-fashioned, but he's proven it works in this game. He, at one point, was on the number 1 team on 2K for the My Player. It's all 5 of players with your My Player, you play that, and then you, as your team gets better, it goes up. There is technically a Team Mopar on NBA 2K19. I really don't think I'm ever going to play it, but if you want to join Team Mopar in 2K19, you can. That's all I'm going to say there. If it gets really popular, I might consider doing something with it, but it is there. You can join Team Mopar if you really want to. Wouldn't recommend it. But anyway. He knows what he's doing way more than me. And he's noticed the same thing with the shot meter. And his player has way higher ratings than Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn. Because his players, I think he even has one player rated a 99, at least a 98. I know that. He has one that's at least a 98 overall. Kristaps Porzingis is an 88 overall. So essentially, he knows exactly what he's doing. He's on the best team in the world, or he was at one point, whatever. And he has an extremely highly rated player. So if he can't even get the shot releases to be an exact percentage, knowing as much as he does, no one can. And he said himself that in some circumstances, if you get a shot release that's slightly earlier than perfect, meaning, or like this is here, shot release let's say here, this gives a higher chance of making it than this. Not even kidding, that's his own work. I can link his channel in the description. Go sub to him, go sub to Detroit and all the people involved in that general situation. But the point being, the best players in the world are noticing this. I'm, all things considered, the more I play the game, I figure out that I ain't exactly too bad at it. But I think the reason all in all I'm starting to get better at the game in general is because I'm noticing its flaws so much. And the more you notice, the more you can kind of loophole. And that's why I'm explaining this here. Watch the best players who want to cheese the game, essentially, and know how to get the best release possible without actually getting it downright perfect. Because this system's downright flawed. It's a random number generator, but with real people. Meaning, yeah, a loot box is completely random. You have no control over that. That's just a cutscene. But this is timing related. So there's a skill gap, but then yet it's also still a random number generator. That just does not work. People have found loopholes to this that's essentially downright gotten to the point of it's game breaking now. And it needs to end because something like 2K11 didn't have a shot meter. You just looked at the mechanics of the player's release. Once the player's at the top of his release, or hers, because I think 2K20 is actually getting women's basketball. That's cool. Good job there. That should have happened really from the beginning. But not getting into that. Their release. Whatever. Just once it was at the top of their release, that's when you release the button you're using, whether it be square in old games or shot stick with the new games. That worked great. That was definitely the best system, because in real life you don't have a shot meter. Granted, in real life, too, you can feel your own release, because obviously you don't really see your hands perfectly while you're releasing, because a lot of the times your release is above your head, like that, more, essentially. I don't have the greatest shooting form in real life, I'm not going to lie, but it wasn't the worst shooter in high school, I'll say that either. Didn't play in actual games. I wasn't terrible in high school. There might be stories of that in the future. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, final verdict is systems of games that were 8 years old are better than what they have now. And this isn't even really a cash grab thing. Obviously, everyone hates loot boxes, but obviously everyone knows why they're there. We hate them because they're cash grabs, but they're there because they're cash grabs. There's no reason for it to be a shot meter other than to make casual players be able to make shots easier. Again, there is still a skill gap, but if you teach a casual player the way to cheat with that skill gap, essentially they're already pretty good. I'm gonna admit that it's kind of me. But I'm complaining about, I don't want to be good just because there's a loophole. That's the whole thing I complained about Gran Turismo 6 is, yes, probably the thing that was overall best at in GT6 was that front-wheel drive drifting loophole. But again and again, video after video doing a tutorial on how to do it, I said that this should not be how PD makes this done. But it was never fixed, so I showed it for the people who wanted to use it, but I told them time and again that this definitely ain't the way you're supposed to drift. But the thing with that is I'm a decent drifter doing it a normal style, and I'm really caught picking good other way. In 2K11, I was average. In 2K19, I'm above average. It's hard to say an exact amount. Meaning I'm a lot less skilled with basketball than I am with Gran Turismo. There's no denying that. But when it's still the top of the top, people saying the same thing I am as well, it's pretty obvious it's going on. So there you have it, folks. The shot meter, maybe some way, somehow it could be perfected. Or maybe even have the shot meter. Just if you get a green release, you shoot the player's rating. Player has a 99 3-point rating, you're wide open and you get a green release. You hit it 99 out of 100 times. Meaning if you miss one, the next 99 wide open green release 3-point shots you make. No matter what, undisputed. Then I'd actually be okay with a shot meter, because yes, that means there's less skill involved, because you can see the timing instead of having to judge the timing by knowing how a release works, not just seeing it on the screen. I understand that the shot meter can be used for more casual players, yeah. If there was a shot release in NBA Live back when it was relevant 15 years ago, I probably would have played it more and gotten good starting off instead of waiting another 10 years to try something. But it wasn't. And all in all, I'm kind of glad. While it definitely helps people get better quickly with a shot meter, it makes a lot less skill gap. But as long as there is still skill gap, meaning gameplay-wise random number generators, the random number generator side just doesn't work because people will exploit that skill gap. If there's going to be a random number generator, it has to be completely randomized, aka no skill whatsoever, no timing whatsoever, just random. In my opinion, there's not too many places in which there should be a random number generator in gaming, but again, I know why it's there, because of money. I don't see how the shot meter in any way, shape, or form involves money. That should just be taken out completely. Instead, they're adding them, like now there's a shot meter for layups. That wasn't there before. And again, some people like the shot meter because it helps them time shots. It's not the best way of doing it. It's essentially using the driving line in Gran Turismo 6, like I just thought of. GT Sport doesn't have a downright driving line, like it doesn't say exactly where to brake and all that. Gran Turismo 6 did. People complain about the driving line there, so GT Sport has changed formats. Just do that. Just change the format of it to the point of how it was before. Like, have a little thing flash right when you get the perfect timing to release it, maybe. So that way you still have to look at the player's release to know when that thing is going to flash. And when it does flash and you get it off exactly at that time, you just shoot the player's rating. If the player has only 60% 3-point percentage, then, or 60 rating, then boom, there you go. Calculate it that, or whatever it may be. It's never be exactly 100% perfect every time. Nor should it be, if you have 82%, you should be missing 2 in a row. Because remember how it was down there? Yeah, this is the same game. And it went to overtime. Okay, with an 82 release, you shouldn't be missing 2 in a row. So, okay, if I would have hit one of those two with an 82 rating, I would have won the game. I'm not even kidding. By the end of this game, I had over half the team's total points. I'm a little bit annoyed when I'm doing all I can, but then I get penalized for the game's mistake. I've said that time and again in many different scenarios, but it's definitely true here. And it ain't just me saying it. So yeah, all 2K needs to do is just move back to the classic shot timing. They've even said with this new timing, they've looked at games as far back as like 2K11 or so. Don't just look at those games, implement those games. People have a lot of complaints about these modern games, but in general, not too many people complain that much about 2K11. The 2K franchise is going downhill because they have no real competition. NBA Live is not the best in the world. But it's gone downhill so much at this point. The actual gameplay of NBA 2K19, it's the game's main selling point, is actually becoming worse than Lives now. Lives still has worse graphics. Lives still has less content. But if the gameplay of a basketball game is better in one than the other, I'm going to get the one with the better gameplay. NBA Live now has the better gameplay. They're both cash grab, money hungry games. But this one, NBA Live, is the better one of the two. And like I put in a previous video, it's not good when EA's winning. Don't let EA win. 2K is now greedier than EA, and it's even showing on their gameplay now. Random number generators don't have much place in gaming. Especially when it's involving skill with that random number generator. Especially when before there wasn't a random number generator that worked pretty much perfectly. There's not even a fix to this game. It's just implementing an old feature that was there before. Don't fix something that ain't broken. Just implement the thing that wasn't broken in the first place.